The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Monday, the 2nd of May, 2016, are currently trading with gold at $1,291.86 an ounce, silver $17.57 an ounce, Texas crude $45.92 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently at about 446 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 2011, Osama bin Laden, the suspected mastermind behind the September 11th attacks and the FBI's most wanted man for other unrelated terrorist attacks, is killed by the United States Special Forces, Dev Guru, or SEAL Team 6. The end of Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Today in history. In recent news, Carnival Cruises line Adonaya became the first U.S. cruise ship to dock in Havana on Monday for nearly 40 years. The Adonaya is one of the Carnival's smaller ships. However, the addition of the U.S. cruise routes to there are expected to bring Cuba tens of millions in American currency because of tourism, a much-needed boost to the Cuban economy. More than a dozen lines have announced plans to run U.S.-Cuban cruises, which have the potential of raking in $80 million a year, according to a report also released today from the U.S.-Cuba Trade and Economic Council. Unfortunately, most of the money does go directly to the Cuban government because the cruise company pays the government $500,000 per cruise, while passengers spend roughly $100 per person in each city that they visit. Carnival is stating that the Adonaya line will cruise twice a month from Miami to Havana, where it will start at $1,800 per person. It's a 7-day circuit, but with stops in the cities of Cienfuegos and Santiago. And even though President Obama and Raul Castro have loosened economic restrictions between the U.S. and Cuba, the trips are required to include Cuban history and cultural workshops with tours of the cities in order to have them qualify as people-to-people educational travels, since pure tourism is still banned under U.S. regulations. Elon Musk is aiming his SpaceX Falcon rocket to greater heights. His new project Red Dragon aims to land people, including himself, on Mars as early as 2018. The Falcon Heavy will have 27 first-stage engines compared to the 9 aboard the SpaceX current Falcon rocket, and is scheduled for its first test flight before the end of the year. NASA, who has landed craft on the Red Planet 7 times successfully already, said it would offer technological insight and advice. This is Rick Rohde with your lowdown for May 2nd, 2016.
Logos Radio Network presents The Truth Exposed Radio Show every Wednesday 6 to 8 p.m., bringing to you breakdowns on current events, history, and philosophy with your host, Rick Rohde, Marshall Soul, and Connie Rowe. Welcome and thank you for tuning in.
And we are live. May the 4th be with you. May 4th, 2016. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. I'm one of your co-hosts here, Marshall Soul, along with my compadres.
Cut it, Rowe. Rick Rohde.
And we are enjoying being alive today. Another day in the sunlight. Or in the chemtrails or whatever you be seeing out there.
No question about it. Hey, Chuck Norris came out about them chemtrails, man. So
that he did.
It must be true.
Yeah.
Because when he does push-ups, the world goes down.
That's why you see the chemtrails that go up in the sky and he's pushing back on them.
Exactly.
Hope y'all been having a good week out there thus far. We're in the middle of it. It's almost Friday. Stick with us.
Hump day, right? Getting over the hump.
No. Just don't start doing the camel jokes.
Oh, man.
I think Van Diesel was posting some pics.
That's what it was, too. I remember seeing that.
Vin Diesel, too.
Uh-huh.
So there's two of them. So, yeah, Chuck Norris and Vin Diesel both came out.
Then Matt Damon came out with a video, too.
I'm Matt Damon. I'm Matt Damon. Chemtrails. Did he really?
No, he came out with a video here. I don't necessarily know if he went into chemtrails. I watched a good half of it. He was deposing like the system and the way corruption is. It kind of sounded, kind of left favoring, but it sounded, old school liberal enough. Where it's like, yeah,
Well, you guys remember when Prince came out on the late night show, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about chemtrails.
Yeah, he was talking about, who was it? The one famous black speaker. I don't know if he's a comedian or whatnot. That was talking about the what they were dumping in the skies, getting the mercury and the lead in the system. That was driving everybody crazy and to fight one another,
Oh, yeah.
And he was speaking, he was referring to that whenever he was on the late night show talking about it. But yeah, he spoke up on it. You know, he didn't got nothing to hide. Or
Dick Gregory.
Yes, that's him. That's him.
Yeah.
Speaking of lead, I think the president went up to Flint, Michigan to visit the lead-infested
The water
supply over
The
there.
water's fine. This water has been filtered.
Took a little sip on it.
He said the water had been filtered, so of course he filtered all the lead out and then says the water's fine. Like they double speak right in your face.
He still looked all hesitant drinking it though. The look on
The
his
grimace
face.
on his face was, I don't know if this
Took
water's
a little sip
the
of it.
filter.
Do I swallow?
He don't have very much faith in the filter.
Yeah, and our president seems to be getting a little gray too in the top of the head. If you see that picture, the face he's got, you know.
Yeah, his whole head was completely gray. I was surprised. The other day he was doing that, you know, that speaking.
I guess the times with
Party.
Rahm Emanuel was kind of tough on him, you know.
He didn't look that gray the other day. I mean, on the sides,
they got dyes, you know.
but man, he's fully.
They usually do age a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
The stresses of being a commander and thief.
yeah, stressing you out, jacking people left and right. You know, you never know when one of the ants might stand up.
Yeah, totally.
Playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Do have some interesting things we want to cover, though, folks. Of course, we've been wrapping up, pretty much finished up last week, John Locke's little breakdown on the acquisition of property and raw land, and kind of led us into, what a just and peaceful and cooperative society would require, and that's essentially law and where law stems from, and do we need government in order to institute it? Interesting topic that we'll definitely be getting into here on the second hour, most definitely. And just other little tidbits of info. It appears the $500 euro banknote is being phased out, and there's talk about the $100 bill being phased out. So definitely seems like cashless society is on the horizon, there on the edge of the earth. And we got a Israeli minister, of course, coming out and criticizing anybody that criticizes Israel as being anti-Semitic. So apparently she doesn't really understand what it means to be a Jew or a Hebrew or a Zionist and can't tell the difference, and hopes that you
It's
can.
the borders. It's the borders.
It's just putting the rhetoric out there for those that don't know the differences and put them all together. It's meaning different derogatory terms for Jews when they're not.
And guess what? We're gonna conquer the whole. You know, use our military to conquer the whole Middle East to make it one giant Israel.
The Greater Israel Project.
And if we don't like it, we're anti-Semitic.
No, I mean, you're not for the greater.
right?
If you're not for the Greater Israel Project, you're anti-Semitic.
And it'll end all the wars, and there will be all peace because it'll just be all Israel, and Israel can't fight itself now.
No.
Peace through superior firepower, right? The good old military slogan with that one.
Yeah, but what do you do now? Then they start making little terrorist groups to fight, so that gives them something to do.
Yeah, exactly. They got to take over make the whole world Israel.
Yeah, did the FBI get caught, luring a terrorist into play or a supposed terrorist into play just to arrest them? But the FBI comprised the whole plot.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we've heard this same scenario.
Yeah, that's nothing new.
Foiling their own plots.
Yeah, you set up something, you lure somebody, and maybe a mentally handicapped or deranged person into doing something, and then say, "Oh, look, we caught a terrorist. Give us more funding." I
mean, I vaguely saw the story, but I don't even think that the guy even did anything other than just show up to a place. I don't even think he had anything or any motive. They just said, "Show up here," and then that's it. That's all.
Well, I mean, you remember the underwear bomber? That guy just looked out of it. Or not the shoe bomber, the one that Kurt Haskins had attested to, the lawyer that went to court.
I can't remember if it was the underwear bomber. I think it was the underwear bomber.
They seemed like out of it because he was let in there by a guy in a suit.
Oh, yeah.
Flash a badge, and he got on without a passport.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of these people who do these things, the Batman, shooter, whatever, from the movie theater, that guy was whacked out of his mind as well. So,
I remember his mugshot. He just looked all out of it. Like, what is that boy on?
I mean, Hitler did the same thing, right?
Yeah,
what's that?
Hitler liked meth too.
Yeah, he did, I think.
No, well, he got a mentally deranged person and set him up as a patsy when they firebombed the Parliament building, the Reichstag.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it looks like Mr. Donald Trump's going to be the nominee for the Republicans. Got Mr. Vampire Ted Cruz dropping out. And
well, I
trying to use that segue?
I figured Ted Cruz would start picking everyone else who's going to be in his cabinet or whatever.
And isn't it weird
the way he does things?
Isn't it weird that he does that right after talking about
a setback happens and he acts like he moved forward?
Yeah.
Right after talking about Cruz's dad having some kind of ties to the JFK assassination, he drops out. Not saying that's tied or anything, but Donald Trump's bringing that up, which is an interesting topic.
I heard
or you're
that
talking
was
about the picture of the National Enquirer coming out where
is that even real?
Cruz's pops.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was even real myself, but
I mean that could be one of those things, and then Trump bid on it. That could be one of those, onion type of things, and he bid on it. Like they're also calling Cruz a Zodiac killer and all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
the things you'll find on the internet.
Yeah. I'm just like, what? So a lot of people are just playing around with it, just like. But I'm sure somebody really believes it out there.
But he's dropping out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like it will be Hillary against Hillary.
Wait, he's suspending his campaign.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of saw that coming from a long ways away.
We kind of called that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, now all we need to come to fruition is Mr. Sanders, Colonel Sanders being nominated, which doesn't seem very likely, but
he could be running.
Possibility.
He could be a vice president with Hillary.
Hillary wants this way too bad. In her mind, she's worked too hard to get where she's at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I just saw a video the other day.
Bernie Sanders does not even have a spine compared. I mean, Hillary is ruthless. I mean,
that is a ruthless woman. I've seen so much come up during her run. There's one video that popped up, and I just shared it earlier. They're bringing up her history even before, back whenever she was the governor's wife.
Oh yeah. And
then of course whenever they got the White House and the ties and things they had done, all the way up to her Senate run until president. I had to stop because I ended up over here. We had a chat about other things, but it was interesting thus far.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely seems like they want to give it to her. And we know that they pre-select everything in politics. Everything is not coincidental. Everything happens for a reason. And you can bet they've been planning it for quite some time now. So just the whole illusion and charade and parade of... the
illusion of choice, right?
Of choice, yeah.
Yeah, they pick who we think we're going to,
I mean, we're voting on e-voting machines. Come on now. Have been proven to be hackable. And
Oh, yeah. Time and time again.
Well,
wasn't it Jimmy Carter that had praised how he had set up, natural democratic paper ballot voting in South Africa, and at the same time they're doing it here in the United States. They were doing, the ballot box with the electronic.
That and then they own the media, so the media can make us believe, try to make it, the majority of people believe whatever they tell them. So
yeah,
if they say so and so,
whatever we tell you,
yeah, they're just painting reality onto us, or false reality.
And rewriting history as they go.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting little article here by Milo Yiannopoulos. I don't know how you pronounce that last name, a Greek last name here. I saw him live at Trinity University here in town. But
was that speaker?
Yeah. Apparently he's cataloged 100 hate crimes that were hoaxes in the past decade alone. So I remember here a couple months ago in San Antonio, somebody had spray painted Jew next to the synagogue here in town, and the city was going into extensive efforts to try to find out who would do such a thing. And it turns out they never found anybody, with all the cameras we have at every corner, street light and everything, they were unable to identify any culprit. So that seems interesting. Seems like it just kind of fell behind the scenes and swept under the rug.
A similar thing happened in Austin. Someone was putting stickers on the businesses, storefronts, and it was like they only served white people or something interesting like that. And it turns out it was somebody,
starting the rumor up,
we got
antagonizing it.
Mama Margie's right here in town that was posting up. If you're a Trump supporter, don't come and eat here. And
Taco Cabana too.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't even the actual establishment doing it. It was just people going around.
In all reality, it's their right to serve whoever they want.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no
somebody
doubt.
Just printed a message on a piece of paper, put their logo on it, put it on the door, and then everyone believes it.
It wasn't even the establishment itself. So. Yeah. Interesting. Don't be quick to jump on the hype, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't fall for the okie doke.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much goes for all things. Never jump on what you see right away. Step back and pay attention to the surroundings and the history of something, or step back and pay attention because there's more going on there than what you may see first.
Yeah, don't react so quickly.
Someone might be distracting you in order to do something else. Little rope-a-dope going on.
COINTELPRO, man, we know what's going on.
So what do you guys want to cover first? You guys want to talk about this Israeli minister coming out?
What is she saying?
Oh man, what isn't she saying?
Israel is the
Almighty.
Is our land.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I mean, to think that you can't politically criticize and disseminate and analyze the political stance of Zionism.
Did even Joe Biden come out and say that you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist?
Oh yeah,
you remember that video?
That's just a given. I mean, anybody that studies into these things, it's not really doesn't take a brain surgeon or doesn't take Ben Carson to figure this out. It really doesn't. I mean, just do a quick little word search on what Judaism is versus being an actual bloodline Hebrew versus Zionism. They're very different, sometimes even opposed ideologies and sentiments.
There's different factions within Judaism in itself. That have different beliefs.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Am I all right? Yeah, I'm all right. For once in my life, I've got something to say. I want to say it now, but now is today. And love has been given to grab and enjoy. So let's all grab.
We are back live. This is Truth Exposed on the Logos Radio Network. And we were just getting into some discussion about some of the headlines of today. And
the Judaism, Zionism, and this particular Israeli woman's beliefs.
What is this? We're trying to get us into the fight we're already in.
Yeah, right.
To make the whole Middle East Israel.
Oh, yeah.
We're just bombing Aleppo right now, or somebody is bombing the crap out of it.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And we've talked about this before with Israel Exposed. We've gotten into what these different things even mean, what these different words even actually mean. And it seems like everyone gets things confused. And it's such a childish, what would you say, non thought out argument to just blame somebody for racism. It's the classical racist card, right? I mean, racist, anti-Semite.
Yeah, you don't even have to go that route.
For criticizing, again, we're not, no one ever criticizes actual race or, bloodlines here when it comes to political policies of a nation state. Very different. So it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, when you consider that there's Jews against Zionism,
Jews against Israel, the Israeli government.
This person's clearly playing on people's ignorance,
as most politicians do. But she's the Israel's justice minister, Ayelet Shaked. Today, she slammed European leaders who criticize Israel and advocate for boycott. This is from the Washington Post. And divestment and sanctions movement against the country, accusing them of simply swapping old anti-Semitic tropes for a new format. Ooh. The Nazis are on a rise, huh?
Yeah, but who are the Nazis?
Yeah, right. So she's quoted telling the Washington Post that in the past, we saw European leaders speaking against the Jews. Now we see them speaking against Israel. It is the same anti-Semitism of blood libels, spreading lies, distorting reality, and brainwashing people into hating Israel and the Jews.
Well, one is a religion, what is a government? Israel and Jews are two different things.
Wasn't that statement the pot calling the kettle black?
It really is. I mean, when you consider that Zionism teaches that the Jewish people require their own homeland and their own government because they can't
coexist, right?
Coexist and cooperate amongst the Goy. It seems that Zionism promotes segregation between the races. And when you listen to many of the rabbis, state-funded rabbis over there, they actually go as far as to say that Jews consist of a superior race and superior bloodline than the rest of us, and we're kind of here just to serve them.
All hail Judah.
And this is admittedly just said out in the open, and everyone seems to just shrug it off because hey, don't want to be called an anti-Semite now.
No, sir.
That'd be horrible.
No, sir.
Who would hire you after that, right? So she said that supporters of the movement, such as BDS movement, which according to its website calls for putting economic and political pressure on Israel in a bid to force it to comply with international law and gain rights for Palestinians, are, quote, using the same kind of anti-Semitism, but instead of saying they're against Jews, they simply say that they're against Israel.
Well, I mean, it depends on what they're saying they're against them for. I mean, they're backing a statement with that. I'm against you because of this. I'm against you for the way you're handling, the Palestinian lands, or the way you're committing war crimes, or, the eugenics programs you're facilitating.
Yeah, I guess you can't criticize the NAACP or the, Islamic Nation, the Black Muslim Nation, because God forbid, you're just criticizing race and not even going to addressing the issues or whatnot. It seems like,
God forbid someone make an Anglo-American college fund or something like that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's just the race card, the old race card over and over again. And, they try to play this. I mean, again, we're not here to defend Trump or anything. And we really could care less about borders. And you guys know where libertarians stand on such things. We believe in free markets and the free movement of goods, including services brought to you by workers, and the free movement of workers across borders and arbitrary lines. But to be against immigration isn't to be against, Hispanics in general or Latinos in general. And that is a distinction to be made as well. And it seems people just like blanketing things over and over again. And if you don't support guys getting locked up just for accusations of rape, well, then you must be against women, huh? It's just the typical cultural Marxist rhetoric coming through in order to get rid of the rule of law and to push nationalism and imperialism.
Playing you by your emotions, by your feels, as we tend to say.
So lo and behold, we have the symposium in Warsaw, making it the 80th anniversary of the Nuremberg race laws adopted by Nazi Germany, and 70 years since the Nuremberg trials that prosecuted the Nazi war criminals. So, of course, we're going to have a plea to the Holocaust, right? I don't know how many centuries are going to go by, decades and centuries are going to go by, and they're still going to be playing that card. I mean,
I mean,
My great-great-great-grandfather.
I don't hear the Armenians talking about the Armenian Holocaust.
Oh yeah, I mean, isn't that where the term came from? Was the Armenian Holocaust, the Armenian genocide? Is that how the word genocide came about?
And you know, not to get into etymology and semantics of words and whatever, but when you look at the word Holocaust, it's kind of disturbing to consider that it actually means burnt offering, a burnt sacrifice to the Lord. And you consider what the Nazis were doing during World War II, and for the Jewish community to call that a Holocaust. I mean, I understand that
was their burnt sacrifice to get the land of Israel.
It's just weird. It's just weird. I mean, I understand that we stand in solidarity with anybody that's been killed for no reason, anybody that may have been peoples that may have been a victim of genocide, no doubt. But to go as far as to, I don't even know what that even means, right? I mean, are you trying to say that those people somehow died for the greater good, or are you trying to insinuate that they were?
Well, who perpetuates it
for
the most?
God to do that? I just don't get it.
I think it's nefarious. If you think about who's perpetuating it, and
they died for them to be able to play that card over and over and over again.
Exactly. That's their Jesus on the cross.
Right? I mean, they're basically saying it's an atonement for sin. I just don't get it. It's very convoluted for people that may understand the Hebrew religion, the Jewish religion. Why you would call it that?
It's just like playing the race card. It's like playing a race card in an argument or whatever. I mean, they just all they have to do is go back to the Holocaust.
Most people don't.
The Holocaust.
Most people don't know what the word Holocaust means.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So they don't understand it. So that it's kind of interesting thing. Why you name it that if you know what it means?
Yeah. It's like Christmas, right? The Mass meaning sacrifice in itself of the Eucharist, and you got Christ's sacrifice.
Yeah.
So that just.
Or on a day that's supposed to be his birthday. What?
Yeah, right.
Well, how are they sacrificing it? Because the pagan version of Christmas, it was orgies and gift giving and all that. So I mean, is that how they're sacrificing? They're sacrificing like virginity or purity or something like that?
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, in the Catholic faith, the Mass, the central theme of the whole Mass ceremony is the Eucharist, where
I'm saying as far as the day they chose to do it,
body and blood become the Eucharist becomes the body and blood of Christ, and transubstantiation, as they call it, and they break the bread, symbolizing the breaking of the body of Christ all over again. They're having the sacrifice of Christ during every single Mass, and that's why Mass, is synonymous with sacrifice. Just like Holocaust is synonymous with burnt offering. So it's just weird terms, and that doesn't really prove anything. I know it doesn't. I mean, it's just words or whatever, but it might lead to further study and further analysis. So they're bringing up the horrific events of World War II and Nazi Germany and everything, and they go on to say in the article that Nazi Germany's implementation of the racist laws served as a prologue to the Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews were systematically murdered across Europe. A decade later, the Nuremberg trials underpinned contemporary international humanitarian law, which only a handful of Nazis were tried at, right? I mean,
yeah, many were pardoned and split up amongst the United States and Russia.
Many went back to being Jews.
Many were
cue the music.
Kickstarting NASA, right?
Yep.
Shipped to the States and started NASA. So.
And the CIA getting into MK Ultra.
Yeah, this is all the one and the same, baby.
Getting to some
interestingly enough, NASA's a Hebrew word too. So.
What's that stand for, Rick?
I don't know. It's
you have to stay on. Stay tuned to the break.
Stay tuned.
Get out a hat and sunglasses. In San Diego, law enforcement agents are using video surveillance cameras and facial recognition to pick faces out of crowds. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with details in a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Privacy-invading technologies are coming online faster than you can scream Big Brother, and one California company called Face First tops my spooky list. Face First has developed scanners that can sweep a crowd from 100 feet away to record every face and feed those images into a database. People are identified in under a second. Already deployed in Panama, Face First is now being tested on San Diego streets. Imagine the feds, drones, marketers, and stalkers all scanning our faces and identifying us as we walk down the street. Yikes, I'm buying a floppy hat and some sunglasses. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Do appreciate you guys tagging along, listening to these broadcasts, this transmission, rather, of the Truth Exposed radio show. We are live every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Rick Rohde here.
Cuddy Rowe.
Marshall Soul.
And before we wrap up this whole Israeli convolution and destitution, distortion, totally, do encourage you guys to check out Logos Radio Network. We still got the 2016 gun giveaway drawing going on. We've had to push it back a couple times because we were unable to make ends meet. But
yeah, so you better spend some ends so we can.
We're about halfway there, though.
We are over halfway, and we do appreciate anybody that's and everybody that's participated in this. I mean, as y'all well know, it takes a community to get this going, and it takes a community to have a resistance. And
it's all got to be voluntary.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We're not subsidized. We don't receive tax credits and benefits and handouts, whatever.
We're doing this just for the love of it.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And this is strictly to keep the transmission blaring. The cost of the radio shows is not to pay anybody's pocketbook.
No, sir.
So definitely consider joining the drawing. It only takes $25 to get your name in it. And you get a chance to win. First prize is a Spice Gold lower receiver. Definitely check it out at logosradionetwork.com. It is an awesome, killer-looking lower receiver there.
Mm-hmm. And there's the chance of getting that second prize Taurus Curve, the sleek 380, I believe. You got the laser sight on the flashlight built into it, and I pretty much love the way it's got the crosshair in it instead of having the iron sights. I mean, that's a new theme going there, and it's sleek. It's built for concealed carry. It's not meant for your tournament shooting and all that. But that's second prize, and I want to get in on that too.
And what third prize? You still got the $25 gift certificate from All About Vape,
and that does include 10 third prize winners. So.
Yeah, and if you there's a special offer going until June 1st. If you get in and you purchase Eddie Craig's traffic seminar before June 1st, you'll receive 10 entries into this drawing. So
that's a win-win right there.
That's a win-win-win.
Win-win-win-win-win-win.
I can't tell you enough how much Eddie Craig's traffic seminars helped me out and his studies that he's providing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well worth getting that, and then you also get put in for entries for first and second prize and third prize slots here in the Logos 2016 gun giveaway. It's brought to you by Central Texas Gun Works. Appreciate them.
Yeah, that traffic seminar's gotten you out of a couple of tight situations, hasn't it?
That it has. Well, it's just the knowledge that's out there, and you just got to apply it. And Eddie Craig, this gentleman, has brought forth and done a lot of the work to help present it to you so you can go look it up and find it for yourself instead of being caught up in the red tape.
It'll save you more money than it costs to get it.
Plus the vast knowledge and books that are in there as well. I mean, it's well worth it.
And another thing as well, just a little tip, once you do go and apply this information and you start standing up for your rights, they make a note of that and they make sure not to mess with you as much because they don't even want to put up with it. It's easier just getting the low-hanging fruit.
They're so worried about minding their P's and Q's about following procedure that they just assume, you know what, it's better not to even mess with that guy because he knows what the procedure better than I do.
The knowledge will get out too as well in the courtroom when people start hearing you say certain things and then the rest of the,
There's always a way to find them messing up in procedure.
All the peasants will rise once they figure out they're getting lied to.
Usually why they leave you for last, talking to the DA.
Once it costs, it's not cost effective to try and prosecute you. It's going to cost more money than the money they'd get out of you, or the fact that more people start uprising from it or protesting it, lawfully.
Because if they see someone in court getting away with it,
once it starts costing a lot more money, the laws back off.
And it's not really getting away with anything, really, right? It's
all right.
Hey, no victim, no crime, right?
Exactly. Yeah. All right.
This isn't Mr. O.J. Simpson over here.
Yeah. Anyway.
Not to get into an infomercial about it, but it is good.
It is definitely.
So this Washington Post interview that Israel's Justice Minister had Ayelet Shaked had with the Washington Post. I mean, quite telling as far as their political moves and how they're setting things up mentally. The propaganda being put out on how any slight criticism of Israeli policies or initiatives is deemed anti-Semitic. And for them just to throw that card out there. No room for debate, no room for discussion. You're just an anti-Semite Nazi of some sort. So quit talking.
And we know who the real Nazis are. I mean, you could go and try to become a citizen of Israel and be of any other denomination, right?
Say what?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Have you converted to Judaism?
Yeah, exactly.
Our particular brand of Judaism.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not even the real deal.
You have to be a Jew in order to get citizenship there.
No surprise as to why so many people, so many organizations, humanitarian organizations around the world are calling for basic human rights for the Palestinian people that are not Jewish.
The flotillas to Gaza, I believe Cynthia McKinney had gone on quite a few of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're quite literally a second-class citizen. I mean, when you look at the slums that they live in, the lack of upkeep for waterways and roads and schools and just the lack of materials, goods and food being allowed to come into that area.
Everything keeps getting blown up, too.
They pretty much took over a country and split it in half, and pretty much, Palestine only had a particular portion of the ports to the sea, and thus really couldn't get goods up to the main body, or the body that, Israeli had left with them.
Yep. So, I mean, no surprise, right? No surprise that a lot of people have major concerns with this. Most of the world, in fact, has major concerns with a lot of the policies that the Zionist state of Israel is implementing. And it really just seems to be the United States, Great Britain, and that's about it. And I mean, we're really blindly supporting these policies and not questioning any bit of it. And you really can't get far in U.S. politics even suggesting that we should cut aid or social handouts, military handouts to the state of Israel. That's the end of your political career. I mean, if you don't go to the Wailing Wall and have the big photo op and pray before before the graves of old dead Zionists, I mean,
really weird, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently on Thursday, I guess this is last week. Let's see when this article come out May 4th. So I guess they're a day ahead of us or something. But I guess this morning sirens did sound across Israel. This is now from the Washington Post article. And Israelis will hold on Thursday morning. So tomorrow morning, sirens will sound across Israel, and Israelis will hold a minute of silence to remember those who were killed and to commemorate Holocaust Remembrance Day. Speaking to an audience of international jurors, legal scholars, and political leaders in Warsaw, the Israeli minister, a member of the ultra-nationalist Jewish Home Party, questioned whether Europe had really learned any lessons from the Holocaust.
So for 1 minute tomorrow, turn your gas off.
She went on to say that, quote, "We can still witness anti-Semitism today. In fact, the anti-Semitic voices seem to get louder and stronger still." She said, "We witness anti-Semitic attacks in the heart of Europe. We hear anti-Semitic slanders in European media, and we feel anti-Semitic hatred in the continent that should have learned the lesson." Oh, where's all this anti-Semitism at? I mean, apparently it's you criticize anything about the Jewish state in Germany, and you're bound to get locked up for a couple months over hate speech laws that they have over there. So I just don't understand where all this anti-Semitism she's talking about is coming from. I mean,
it's coming from them.
Usually people get a bad rap for the actions a group does or a group of people do, even if it is just a small minority group that goes out and makes a bad name for a larger group. I mean, that's a commonplace thing. But there gets to be a majority acting a certain way. You may get depictions put about you.
Well, yeah, no doubt. But I mean, when's the last time you guys heard anything negative about Israel in the media?
Nothing. That's kind of strange.
Not here.
They never bring up any of the war crimes or the things that that should be brought up as a pointing out that, hey, it has nothing to do with your Israel or your faith or whatever. We shouldn't be doing this as a human being to another human being.
Yeah, no doubt. And that is the root of Zionism, ladies and gentlemen. It is a political xenophobic ideology, and we do call attention to that, and we could really care less whether people want to be Jews or whether they have Hebrew bloodline. That ain't the debate. We're debating.
Easy.
Back, ladies and gentlemen, Truth Exposed Radio, March 4th, 2016.
March?
Marshall 4th.
No, I'm slipping.
Marshall 4th.
March. It's May. It's May.
That May Day had you.
Yo. That's my inner commie.
I gonna call me. Oh man.
Anyways, as we were saying before the break, it's not about your religious beliefs. It's not even really about your beliefs having anything to do with me until you want to apply it with force to me.
If your beliefs are, if your actions are followed up by beliefs, and your beliefs are,
if your actions harm me or my property or my business, we have a problem. Other than that, do as you want.
Yeah, you can believe whatever you want. White people we're all put here by space aliens, or we all came from monkeys, or I don't care like what you believe, but
and sometimes you come across people that
you start trying to exterminate everybody or segregate everybody,
exterminate those flat earthers.
Yep, or it's just
climate deniers. Yep. You guys hear about Bill Nye suggesting that?
Yep.
Yeah, so-called science community has been talking about
re-education
that for some time
camps.
And people take this guy because I guess they were young and they grew up seeing this guy on TV like he's the holy grail of science, like he's some kind of
mixing vinegar and baking soda or whatever.
Yeah, making a little volcano. Oh man.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. And you'll get a lot of flack when it comes to your local church, your local 501c3 World Council of Churches church here. If you start bringing up any criticism on Israel, I mean, they'll Bible thump you all day and really put their thumbs over verses they don't want you to read because the Bible is very clear as to who the Israel of God is. I mean, you only have to read Galatians 6 and Romans 9 to really find out who God considers, Jesus said it himself, God could raise these stones to be a seed of Abraham. So it has nothing to do with the actual bloodline. It has everything to do with the heart and your intentions. And when you are brutally raining down, gas and bombs on your neighbor just because they're not of your faith or
they rain in all kinds of stuff.
It's love bombs, man. Love bombs.
They go and spray the houses with dookie.
They use sewage water, right? Spray Palestinian homes with a bunch of sewage water. I've seen the footage.
Hey, they said they ran out of water. You know what I mean? They were looking for water. We're putting out fires,
Yeah,
I saw them cooking by a little makeshift fire they had in their house that we bombed. I was putting it out. They look like their house might burn down.
Spray it right through their windows, and then they can't even, go back in their houses because the stench is so bad.
I was trying to fill up the bathtub from the street, Come on, give me a break.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the way they treat kids, I've seen kids get...
Yeah, the children I've seen them get mauled by dogs and tossed around like a rag doll.
Beat up by troops,
oh yeah.
All kinds of just despicable stuff. Like, how do you treat another human being?
And how does that go unseen or allowed? That should be out there in the international community being discussed. Why these soldiers are treating people as such.
I mean, in Israel, their own media, their own press, criticizes their actions more than ours.
There's generals that have retired. I can't remember that general's name, but he retired and he went on a speaking tour, speaking out against Israel and Zionism and talking about how much it's racist in itself.
We're the ones they have to worry about. They've got to make sure our media is fully under control because we're the ones they need us involved.
$4+ billion.
Yeah, all the money
they need a handout.
Have you seen Israel from up high? It's like. It's the cities are immaculate. They're building great cities. I don't think they need our money anymore. I think they're well established. They've got their own embezzlement.
They
funds
have to invest in awesome weapons. Bro.
I don't really think that we have to be giving them money anymore, like some kind of welfare child that's beating you up every now and then and expecting you to take it. USS Liberty.
Well, yeah, and the amount of even child prostitution in general by several humanitarian agencies that have cataloged this is rampant in that country. I mean,
wow,
just straight rampant. Yeah. Definitely a hotbed for that kind of perverse activity.
Oh, and I think Marshall was saying, they probably that's what they use Palestine for, or the Gaza Strip. They go over there and snatch some kids up, and they've got them for whatever they want.
I wouldn't doubt it, man. I wouldn't doubt it.
It's a sad state of affairs these days.
Well, yeah, and then they're getting a bunch of Americans to believe that this is the good fight.
And again, this has nothing to do with your Jewish bloodline because most likelihood, most of these people, if we could somehow determine if where their bloodline actually came from, it would be very negligible to even find anybody that actually was a bloodline of Jacob, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. It seems.
Yeah, because the Israel that's in, I would beg to say, is the type that were from the Khazar mountain streams and this mountain area in the eastern right outside Russia.
Yeah, and you got so many conversions over history, and you got just so many interminglings of different peoples. And either we're all Jewish or there are little to no actual bloodline Jews left. I don't even know how you would even determine such things. And why does that even really matter?
Yeah, it shouldn't. Just because you've got blood shouldn't determine who, if you're good or bad or whatever. None of that matters when it comes down to actions.
Yeah, no doubt. And you guys remember when Netanyahu came to Congress and spoke at our Capitol building and was quoting like the Old Testament, and telling us about Moses. And it was pretty much a religious sermon he was giving. And it's like, well, bro, man, you're head of state. Like,
yeah, that's an oxymoron.
We
bro.
do not. Yeah, we don't want religion and the state to be intermingling at this level.
Separation there.
At least there should be, right?
It turns into Voltron, bro.
And just reminder, folks, I mean, we definitely encourage you guys to check out Jews Against Zionism. I mean, there are whole movements of conservative Orthodox Jews that stand against the idea of a Zionist Israeli state. They believe that it's only the Messiah that's going to reunite all Jews in their homeland, and to try to force it through the efforts of man is a blasphemous, futile effort.
Yeah, the UN is the Messiah.
I mean, yeah, no doubt, right? You're switching your focus there.
The UN created Israel and gave it back to the Jews, man. The UN is the Messiah.
Or at least Great Britain, right?
The whole world will be at peace when...
Well, the Security Council, to be exact.
When everyone is in... The whole world is Israel, man. It's going to be awesome.
He's got the whole world.
Look, that's how they'll convert everybody, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So I don't know where these anti-Semitic sentiments are coming from the European media. I mean, granted, we're not really exposed to that media that much.
Heck, we'd be called anti-Semitic for all that. We just say, there's no hatred behind it.
We're on the ADL's list for sure now, right?
About time.
So Shaked highlighted comments. So this is wrapping up the Washington Post article here. She highlighted comments made in recent weeks by members of Britain's Labour Party claiming that Hitler was a Zionist. Well, I think he was. He was all for a Jewish homeland.
Yeah.
The ideology is, right, that they need their own land.
He even helped. There's various times.
Shipped them over there.
and where he was exporting Jews to Jerusalem and like taking their money. And then there was also times where he's holding the money for them and giving them some back at times. Supposedly he would give it back. But they've been trying to migrate Jews to Palestine for the longest time. Now, which Jews? That begs the question. Was it the Ashkenazis, or was it what sect was it that was given favor?
Yeah, right, no doubt. And 51 documents by Lenny Brenner catalogs pretty much all this documented evidence to show that Zionists were collaborating with the fascist regimes of Hitler and Mussolini in order to coordinate this whole effort to get Jews back into Palestine, the land of Palestine.
And so
and the land of
they knew that it would take a particular sacrifice in order to do so. So they went and got some of the different Jewish beliefs, a faith that they did approve of, that they're rivaling with, and went and had them executed to justify them getting Palestine.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have any crisis go to waste, right? I mean, whether
Manuel said so,
whether they planned it or not, it's really the point is they've used it for their political benefit, and that's really should be the focal point
to this day.
So not only have I guess Parliament people in the Labour Party brought up the fact that Hitler was a Zionist himself, which that's pretty astounding. Previous remarks by lawmakers have said that Israel's population should be transported out of the Middle East and to America. Interesting. Evangelicals would love that.
Sounds like Council on Foreign Relations.
Or maybe not. I don't know if evangelicals would like that too much, because apparently there's supposed to be a whole World War III after the rapture, with Israel getting practically annihilated. So they may not like
maybe that's
Israel in America at that point.
Maybe that's whenever America wakes up and annihilates Israel for all it's done to America.
Well, that's how they'll use that as another Holocaust.
Yeah. Or maybe it'll be Russia.
When Israel gets attacked, they'll just be like, oh, another Holocaust. Now we must quadruple our efforts.
Yeah, no doubt.
Into taking over the world. We must have a new world order to end all wars.
So she finishes up basically by saying that today it's not politically correct to be anti-Semitic. Okay, yeah, it's not politically correct to be racist, no doubt. But being anti-Israeli is acceptable.
When is politics correct anyways?
Yeah, Shaked said that people who have such anti-Semitic views should not be allowed to hold central leadership positions.
And see, the problem with that is whenever you force people not to be outspoken about their beliefs, you end up giving people their closet and particular beliefs that you might not have wanted in certain positions. So best to have them out in the open.
Best to not have any positions.
Positions of power, that's for sure. I mean,
well,
but to say that's pretty hardcore right there. She's basically calling for all political leaders around the world to be pro-Israeli, or else, or you're going to be deposed from power. That's pretty hardcore.
Bow to Israel or leave.
So yeah, the article's got some other mumbo jumbo talking about all this, but definitely check out Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. Even the ADL was blasting him for saying that all non-Jews were born to serve the Jews.
Say what?
The ADL going after him?
Yeah. You're not supposed to talk about that, sir.
Yeah, it brings anti-Semitism to talk about our...
Logos Radio Network presents Truth Exposed Radio, a transmission promoting resistance to tyranny. Listen in as we explore counter-economics, spontaneous order, and the human strive for liberty with your host, Rick Rody, Marshall Soul, and Cuddy Rowe. And now, Truth Exposed Radio.
Thank you for tuning in. You are back live with Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. Live here every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. And the phone line should be open, 512-646-1984. And what were we chatting about over here?
Oh, man, just wrapping up on this whole Israeli Confucius.
Definitely Confucius.
Yeah. yeah, it's just it's a hard pill to swallow, and people don't want to hear it. Too much feels involved, too much preconceived notions.
They've got a good spin game.
All feels, no knowledge.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
You gotta learn how to look into things without, getting caught up in your feelings.
No, but it's too hard. I just came home from work and they said this on TV, so I buy it. And
that's the easy way to go. Until you realize they've been lying to you and lying to you and lying to you, then you just know that they're probably not telling the truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's really imperative,
the water in Flint, Michigan is fine, Cuddy. I don't care what you say.
We filtered it.
I drank the water. I filtered it. I filtered it by dumping it out and going get some water.
Yeah, exactly. And pulling out, a bottle of water out of my pocket and poured it in there.
It was a glass bottle, not that plastic that leaches that estrogen mimicking hormone.
Obama don't care about BPA.
He needs to give some to Michelle.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway. Oh, Marshall.
That's not my name, Cuddy, just in case.
Oh. So last week, guys, we were like breaking down private property and the acquisition of land. And we noticed that there was a theme there going on with Mr. Locke bringing up, the beginning of contracts or the beginning of agreed upon contractual law or regulations, that once you had property and once there had enough people and there was scarcity or trade, that there had to be some sort of an agreement.
It almost comes right out of it. It just grows spontaneously right out of it. Like right out of the fact that you start to own something, then all of a sudden law starts to derive from that.
Yeah, when people have to start interacting with each other and trading and doing certain things, there's going to be a common code of law. I mean, there's going to be a natural law that takes place. Like, hey, man, you don't hit me, I don't hit you. And there's going to be other business laws that come into place, like the way you practice your businesses, the way certain trade is facilitated, the way agreements are made.
Unless we agree to, go out and suck it.
Right. Back in the day, we used to have an argument. We could say, "Hey, let's go out and duel, man." There's a good chance you might live because it was just a black powder ball. If they weren't aiming for an eye socket or some soft tissue, you might be all right.
Might get a little gangrene, but nothing the spoon won't be able to.
This day and age, with the way medicine is, you could probably make it.
Yeah, no doubt. So
what would do with airsoft guns?
Yeah, right. So what would be some of the reasonings as to why we would need law? Or some kind of agreement to come out of our property. Unfortunately, we have human nature to deal with, don't we? There are just some people out there that just want to do harm to other people, whether it's a sociopath that, likes going around stabbing people.
Or the mutualist. The mutualist or something thinks that, they don't have enough and they don't want to get it for themselves. And they
work for it or trade for it.
They have no ties to the person. So
or even ask for it.
Right.
They just want to go and take it. And then a dispute, arises.
So theft, right? People want to take other people's property. That may arise.
It starts when you're a little kid. You're over there trying to play with a toy, and someone else, wants to take the toy, and then your parents tell you must share. That's garbage.
Bernie Sanders said so.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders said so. No,
you have to want to willingly let that other child play with your toy.
Yeah. I found the toy. I homesteaded the toy.
It is mine.
Funny thing about kids, they only want to play with toys that you're playing with.
They do.
It is instilled very early on,
You're like, this man, he's having a lot of fun with that toy.
It looks like he's having more fun than me. We gotta go conquer that land and take that toy.
Yeah, we gotta conquer that toy. Conquer that property. So yeah, of course.
So human nature, I mean, there's some bad aspects to it. People want to live at the expense of other people's labor. Some people have psychotic, psychopathic tendencies.
If it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Right? They'll steal some apples or steal some some mangoes or whatever you got.
Well, if it's
Yeah, no
easier,
doubt, no doubt.
If it's easier to make enough money go robbing houses for a couple hours a night rather than going to work in a 40-hour week, after a while, people are going to start going to that if the economy is bad enough.
Yeah. So there is this evil tendency where, to live at the expense of others or to cause harm to other people. And of course, scarcity brings in trade, as we were mentioning. When some object or material good, natural good becomes scarce, then it's automatically going to be traded and economized. And once you start having trade, you kind of need a little, some kind of rule book or some kind of
a gentleman's code
system of justice, of implementation of justice in order, to deal with injustice, in order to deal with people that may not be fulfilling their end of the bargain or may be running off with other people's goods when they try to do a trade, and then you didn't get your share of the trade, and someone ran off with your gold coins or whatever.
That's when law gets created, right? Is when a decision has been made on what is right and what is wrong.
No doubt. So logically, the first step in implementing this law, before there was ever any kind of security system or arbitration system or almighty government, we had the simple reality of self-defense. It seems to be this first line of justice, the first line of law, if you will. If someone tries to, some sociopathic killer tries to take your life, well, you're going to defend it, because your life's on the line. If someone tries to take your goods from you, you're hardly acquired
Try to
good.
stop them, yeah.
You're going to try to stop them. So, and yeah, I mean, this may lead to you have a situation where people are afraid of such a system, automatically, inherently afraid of such a system, because it does sort of imply survival of the mightiest, survival of the strongest,
or every man for themselves,
or an every man for woman for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And people forget that conflict is very costly. I mean, having to fight everybody for your goods, sure, you may get away with it once or twice, but eventually
it's not gonna. Yeah, you're gonna.
caught.
It's gonna. Yeah.
And if you're in the
Eventually
same area,
someone's
and if you're in the same area, you're going to get a reputation, and people are
Somebody's
going to do
find
business
out,
with you.
yeah. Oh yeah, one, you'll get ostracized, and two,
You'll get strung up.
one, you'll get dealt with, and two, you'll get ostracized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in your best interest if you want to survive. Really, I mean, not one person is fully, sufficient.
Yeah, you're always going to need something that someone else has or can do or provide. So it's in your best interest to, try to keep it civil and on the level with the others.
Cooperate, right?
Yeah, because you're going to have some kind of service or good or skill that somebody else may need. So as long as, you follow the simple rules, man, we can all get along and make ends meet and make exchange.
Exactly.
And let's face it, if you can communicate with somebody, if there's a means by which you can understand each other's necessities and concerns and worries, that deflates the possibility of some kind of confrontation or aggravation a lot. I mean, just simply being able to communicate with somebody is definitely a inhibitor to conflict. When you think about two people that have completely different languages or cultures meeting and they're trying to figure something out, there's a lot of confusion in that kind of situation. That may lead to violence rather quickly because
especially if you're Irish.
There's no way for people to communicate each other's needs and feelings and concerns or worries or whatever. But when you share a common language, or you can at least sort of understand the language, there's a huge step forward in diffusing any kind of conflict or aggression.
Yeah, miscommunication is at the heart of most, if not,
it's a misunderstanding of
conflicts.
terms and of words and such. And I only bring up Irish because the Irish don't care if you make fun of them.
They don't.
No, and I'm a quarter Irish.
Oh man, that doesn't count. You're Obama Irish.
No, it's a third. It's a third. I think.
So this really illustrates, with self-defense, getting, even though, trade and communication may diffuse tense situations, there may be, you can't be guarding your home and all your goods 24/7 and not be able to go into town, or you can't be watching your back all the time. I mean, little old grandma can't defend herself in any situation of theft. So pretty quickly, we would imagine, in the course of human civilization, spawned the idea of collective defense or collective justice and law and collective protection of property and lives. And this is where law on a grander scale, on a more community level, and started to take root and take place. And a lot of people, social contract people, people that believe that the state is here for our benefit, that worldview, see this as the birth of the state. They think that since people needed a community in order to thrive, that they agreed upon a government in order to legislate and protect and defend people's rights and people's property.
The birth of the state was a lynch mob.
The only ones that did were the ones who signed the paper.
It's funny how they always legislate themselves in position of power whenever they're the ones signing the paper.
I mean, I didn't agree to it. I don't see everybody's name in America on there.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, it's realizing quite literally that the state is spawned from violence and from the imposition of hegemonic control and power,
coercion,
from force, from warfare. States are only born in warfare. So, as much as people had community protection and defense, and that eventually these communities that had these forms of protection and defense were forcibly taken over by more militaristic, more imposing, more controlling societies. And this is an unfortunate reality when we look back at history. I mean,
so people think that since there is one state, then we need another state to protect us from the other state. I mean, that's kind of almost what happened. That's what happened.
But then we need to make another state to protect us from the state that's protecting us from the state.
A blanket state.
If we just had one state, everything would be good, right?
That's where we're going. One state.
The United States of America.
The United States of Earth. United State of Israel.
Earth. The United States of Earth.
Yeah, so the social contract thing doesn't really seem to hold a lot of water. But we are coming on a break, and we're going to keep breaking down the preexistence of property and rights. So definitely stay tuned.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
We're back this lovely May 4th, 2016. Truth Exposed Radio here.
So lovely.
Oh, yeah. And May the 4th be with you, ladies and gentlemen, for you Star Wars fans. Better watch you back, though, because we got Rise of the 5th tomorrow.
Rise of the 5th?
Oh, what? That's it.
Are you talking about Cinco de Mayo?
Rise of the 5th. Well, it was May the 4th be with you, so Rise of the 5th, like Rise of the Sith.
Yeah, that's anti-Latino here, we're being racist now.
Oh, dude, that's it, man. Viva la raza way.
Yeah, you're comparing Latinos with the Sith. Jeez.
I'm calling La Raza.
Yeah, right now.
I'm calling Lulac, Esperanza.
We're culturally appropriating Ewok culture and whatever.
That would make you an Uncle Tom or a Theo Ricardo or something like that.
Oh, man, that was a good one.
Oh, man.
You're crazy. Oh, they don't like the cultural appropriation. We need to stay more divided. White guys can't have dreads.
What do they call the Uncle Toms in Mexico, Richard?
Uncle Theo.
Well, Theo is Uncle.
I know, Uncle.
Well, apparently to the government, there is no difference between Latinos and whites, right? When they,
they all came from Spain. It was Spaniards that came and mated with the local indigenous peoples to get that skin color.
Yeah, but it's funny how the government, when they're doing like statistics or whatever, don't even make a distinction when it comes to that here in SA and other border towns and states.
You talk about the sanctuary cities?
No, I'm just saying for statistical information, the government doesn't, they were to consider how many Latinos are in, the rate of incarceration for Latinos or the rate of poverty amongst Latinos. They classify, they classify them as white. So we're not really getting proper statistics on those demographics. But again, whatever. To expect government to do anything that's non-political for any righteous reason is really
far stretching.
Yeah,
they spend $3 billion just to measure a pencil.
Yeah, I forget what was it, like 8,000 or 1,800 or something for a nut, a little bolt for a bolt.
It wasn't even stainless steel; it was some kind of alloy.
Yeah, man, come on. I mean, at least
made in China.
At least get the good stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So we were a favor. Yeah, right. So we were just getting into the social contract and the idea of the birth of the government in general in the state. And was it something that was contractually agreed upon, as Locke kind of alluded to in his treatise, or is it something other than that? And really, this debate could probably go on infinitum, depending on your worldview of things. But regardless, whether it's a social contract or an act of aggression, community defense or government both require the pre-existence of property and of liberty in order to even flourish and exist. Let me break that one down. In order for a community to have communal defense, well, what are they going to defend? Well, they're going to defend each other's property and liberty, right? In order to
fruits
have
of their labor.
The fruits of their labor. In order to have a social contract and instill laws and a ruling class over you to protect you, well, you got to have something to protect. And so life, liberty, and property existed before any kind of communal defense or any kind of social contract.
It's almost the unwritten. It is the unwritten. You don't even need an agreement for that. It's just the way things are. If someone tries to steal something from you, it's
common law before there was common law.
Before there was, man's law. It's just the way things are.
It's like the rule of nature, you know. You don't walk up and hit somebody, you don't expect to get hit back.
Yeah, exactly.
With equal or greater force.
Yeah, or twice as hard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like a lot of people have this, this illusion that somehow if we all of a sudden got rid of a government, then everything would cease to be, and social order would disintegrate into nothingness, and we would all just annihilate ourselves.
Well, if that was the case, there wouldn't even be an America because of the Wild Wild West, and how did anyone survive out of that? It must have just been,
people in the areas got gathered together as soon as a certain area of laws, and then elected themselves a sheriff, and the sheriff himself.
Wild Wild West. I'm surprised they didn't just say it was just pure anarchy. and just chaos and.
Well, statists always do.
They do.
Always do. But yeah, to point out that it's impossible that we would just disintegrate into nothingness, because obviously government would not exist if it wasn't for property.
No, it's the aspect of, if I'm not doing good, you're not doing good. If you're not doing good, I'm not doing good. So we all got to be making sure we're all doing good.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you just can't have a political class living off the labor of other people if there isn't labor and property to begin with. So it's self-contradictory.
And if you don't have the right to defend yourself, your livelihood, and your property,
what's the point of living?
Well, then the person who wants to steal and take that from you doesn't suffer the consequence of taking it. So there's no consequence of taking it, and so there's no reason to stop. Then why? I mean, people who want gun laws and all this crazy stuff and want to stop people from being able to protect themselves don't realize they're creating victims.
Because we all know that the criminals do not follow laws. They were already breaking laws to deem them criminals. So creating other laws to make new criminals.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you really want? More criminals?
Yeah.
Do you want more criminals, or do you want less crime? Do you want more criminals, or do you want less crime? Which is it?
Yeah.
Well, if you're a statist, you would want more criminals.
Yeah, more criminals to siphon money off of, like the statist vampire that they are.
Yeah, no doubt. So being that we are in today's span of history and civilization, and we are kind of stuck with government, regardless of whether it's an agreed upon contract, which again, I don't see the whole American populace signing on to the Constitution, but that's a side point. We're having to deal with government now. What kind of alternative can we have to the centralized monopoly of government law?
Decentralized contractual society? I don't know.
Trial by jury?
Yeah, those are definitely options there. Came across this really neat article here on the freedom of, the FEE.org, the Foundation for Economic Freedom. For economic education, Foundation for Economic Education, and they have a really good article by this guy with a lot more credentials than we have here, Professor Tom W. Bell, professor at Chapman University School of Law, and really gets into the basics of polycentric law.
Does he have a bar card?
If he does, he's disqualified immediately.
Is he a closet bar supporter?
Yeah, right.
Not the bars we frequent.
Yeah. No, he don't sound like it. Well, let's find out.
Yeah, right. But what's polycentric law? I mean, this is an alternative, a viable, practical alternative.
It's poly meaning many.
To centralize the centralized monopoly that we consider government.
Oh, that sounds like choices and stuff.
Life is always better when we have choices, isn't it?
Yeah.
Except when the choices are controlled.
Yeah, Coke or Pepsi.
Well, yeah, but then it's not really a choice.
And then you got rigging at the ballot box.
So we're talking about real choices.
Talking about real choices over here.
Okay, if there was hypothetically legitimate count of votes.
We're talking about poly choices. Many choices.
Well, and really, you can't really compare voting and politics with true choice, the true opportunity to make a choice.
So in the hypothetical, that is an individual choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. Right. Individually broken down. I mean, when you consider the choices you have when you go to the supermarket,
You buy insurance for your car.
and or insurance or whatever.
Yeah,
But when you
yeah.
go to the supermarket, I mean, it's that basket is made up of your personal choices. And just because the rest of the community would rather drink high fructose corn syrup doesn't mean you have to, right? So the choice is really broken down to your personal
Well, what if my
ideals.
store doesn't, offer such, other choices that I might want?
Well, then you don't give them your money.
Go to another store.
Go to another store. You don't give them your money.
Or don't even go to a store.
You talk to the manager and ask them to bring in your product because you'll buy it when you go to their store. I mean, there's so many options, but you can't compare. I mean, there's really no comparison as to voting choice versus a free market choice. A free market choice.
Reality TV, sugar, obesity, jet lag, the list of things that makes us dumber just keeps on growing. But now researchers say we can add stress to the list. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with details in a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Are you always on the go and juggling multiple projects? If so, you might think that multitasking proves you're smart. But think again, all that stress might be eating your brain. A new study finds stress reduces the number of connections between neurons, which actually makes it harder for people to manage problems. Researchers at Yale University found that stressed out people have less gray matter in their prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that helps us weigh conflicting ideas and regulate our emotions. So take a deep breath and chill out. It'll help keep your mind as sharp as a tack. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Actually be kidding about chemtrails.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. Marshall Solon, my compadres.
Cut it, bro.
Rick Rody.
And we're just getting into the ideals of law and how it protects property. And, of course, you have to remember the first thing is your body is your property. Your labor is your property.
Your rights derive from your property. Therefore, law.
Derived from the use of your property.
Yep. And then law comes out of that. How do you protect your property? Well, I guess it's law, right?
Right. Yeah,
Law
that is the
force.
definition of law. I mean,
Law is force.
what else? It's the legal use of force. Hence self-defense.
The lawful use of force.
There is no aggression allowed in society, in civilized society. You want to talk about civilized society? Let's get rid of aggression.
Yeah.
And
equal force.
and allow for the equal force of self-defense. So we're about to get into this article here at the Foundation for Economic Education by Mr. Tom Bell, and it's a couple years old, but nonetheless very relevant. As long as we continue to be in this monopolized society, it's always these concepts are always going to remain relevant. We'll just kick it off. Let's see where this leads. Kind of starts off where we left off last segment about having different choices. So he starts off by saying, do you like having options when you look for a new bank, a dry cleaner, or a veterinarian? Of course you do. You want to find the service that will best satisfy your particular demands. After all, and you know what that when banks, cleaners, and vets have to compete, they have a powerful incentive to make you happy. A monopoly, in contrast, can take its customers for granted.
Like a monopoly on government?
Yeah, like
On
the,
law,
like
yeah.
the Flint water crisis.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably
A lot of choices with their water, right?
yeah.
They got all kinds of
If
choices.
that was
with their water.
privatized, that business would be suffering a lot of lawsuits right now.
Oh, yeah. And rightfully so.
and they'd be out of business.
Yeah.
Oh, instead, no, the government monopoly is still there and no one's held accountable.
No one's held
people
accountable.
People are found dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you try to bring accountability
Yeah.
into the
And
equation.
the people that committed those murders, they're gonna get away with it.
Nothing happened. Nothing to see here.
I see nothing.
yeah. I
So,
know nothing.
So polycentric law simply extends that observation from commercial services to government ones. And this is what we've been arguing this whole time. This was really one of the core themes of our show. Just as competition makes life better for those who seek banking, cleaning, and pet care services, it can benefit those seeking fair and efficient legal systems.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Not
Competition helps consumers and citizens alike. Yeah, no doubt. This would be
just like those privatized police forces that come up in articles.
Oh, yeah. In Texas and in Oakland, California.
Where you have the power to hire and fire your public servants. You know, they're going to act better when they know you have a choice.
Oh, and when you hire them, there's certain a contract they obey by, and you say, you know, we're not pulling people over for maybe what do they call it, California stopping at the stop sign, or we're not, it's simple, silly stuff that's
no harm,
no foul. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this should really be something that all these Black Lives Matter folk should really be concerned and looking into, considering their worldview sees the court system as being inherently racist. Well, why not break up the court system into multiple competing legal systems? That way we can get rid of the racist ones, right? I mean,
no, because we need to punish all the white men.
We need to reinstate the original 13th Amendment.
We just need to take over the existing system, Rick, and do it
right.
Yeah, do it right.
We just have the
Payback
right
time.
people in power.
That's right.
So polycentric law regards the legal services that government provides, which is defining rules, policing their application, and settling disputes, as a ripe field for competition. When a government claims a monopoly in the law, it tends to neglect its subjects' needs. In a polycentric system, however, providers of legal services care more about what consumers want. They have to, because if they don't, well, they go out of business.
Yep, that's how the free market works. If you don't provide a good enough products, they're going to go find it somewhere else. Or someone else is going to come along and make the product better when you're lacking.
No, see, we need to force my bad, my bad products and my bad ideas onto people because
you JD Rockefeller?
Because I can't survive. I can't survive.
Competition is a sin.
You snake oil salesman, you?
Yes.
Speaking of snake oil,
snake oil's good for you.
You guys heard about the Libertarian Party?
There's snake oil all in there, buddy.
Yeah.
I hear all these Republicans saying they're going to jump for instead of going for Trump, they're going to go for Gary Johnson.
The final frontier of hope.
It's like, wow.
Hope and change from within the system.
Oh man.
So our polycentric world, most people think that won't this lead to competition between legal services? Here, continuing on the article, won't it lead to chaos? Well, evidently not. We already live in a world that offers us a degree of choice between the sorts of rules we live under. Polycentric law simply takes note of that fact, sees the good in it, and argues for more of the same. I mean, you got different apartment complexes that have different
That's chaos.
codes
That's chaos, Rick.
Yeah, right. It's not universal standards or whatever. But
you can go to whatever restaurant you want. That's chaos.
Yeah, I mean, you got apartment complexes that have different rules concerning pets or smoking regulations and all these different things. So you get to choose what you.
That's
what you
chaos.
prefer.
That's chaos to them. That's what they call chaos.
I guess that it's a little chaotic for somebody that likes uniformity and likes cookie cutter clones of everybody.
The chaos would be the private property deciding what they want to enforce. And of course, you don't want to go there, don't live there.
We can't have people just marrying whoever they want. It'd just be chaotic. We need arranged marriages, guys.
Trade it for livestock and valuable goods. I'll give you my daughter. You give me your gold teeth.
Yeah. Sounds like a deal. Oh, man. Because if not, it would just be chaotic.
Yep. Government ordained it.
Yeah, right. So it may not always seem as if you can choose the legal system you live under. If you like the culture and climate of the United States, for instance, but not the commands that issue from the federal government, you indeed face a hard choice. Stick it up or hit the road. And that's really what I was getting to last segment is political choices really leave no room for choice.
You don't like it, you can leave, boy.
You can leave, right? Someone gets voted into power, even though I didn't vote. I have to now pay a fraction of my labor to that person in power. I have to submit to their regulations over my life and liberty and property that really had no bearing in my agreement to that.
Yeah, but Rick, because you were born in this geographical location, that makes you automatically born a slave, boy.
And a Spurs fan.
The moment
if not, we're going to take you downtown and we're going to,
The moment your feet hit the ink,
throw you off that bridge.
You were bleeding black and silver on that birth certificate.
Yep. And if you're going to burn that flag, you better wrap yourself in it first, boy.
I saw that the other day.
Oh, man. Oh, this is too much fun.
I'm all screwed up because I self-identify with Dennis Rodman. So it's just like, I don't even know what I am anymore. Am I an alien? Am I from space?
Are you going to want your own bathroom too now?
Hey, I carry my porta potty with me.
Yeah.
On my back.
right? I got a pop-up tent for that.
It's a squatty potty that folds up.
Squatty potty. Oh.
I used that spot Ozzy used when he came into town.
Oh, the Alamo, you're wrong.
So it's black and just stained back there.
You're out of line, Richard. I'm calling your mother.
They're going to kick you out of San Antonio, boy.
Don't you come back, you hear?
Don't you come back.
David Crock is going to come out of his grave. So that's the negative thing about politics, isn't it? We're all forced to cram down everybody else's choices. It's like if they had to choose what you had to eat on Monday night.
Everyone has to eat PB&J every day.
Yeah.
Or at least on Monday. You're like, man, Mondays are already terrible.
Yeah.
Now they're even worse.
So we are coming on to a break here pretty soon.
We'd have to outlaw Baskin & Robbins, bro. They got too many flavors.
Let's outlaw breaks too while we're at it. But those are for our sponsors.
I do need those.
I thought you were talking about brakes for the car. I was like, that sounds like a good idea.
Gotta be able to regulate your speed now.
Yeah, man. No, can't do that.
Stay tuned, people.
Easy.
Oh, we're back live this May 4th. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. I'm one of your hosts, Cuddy Rowe, right here with
Marshall Soul.
Rick Rody.
Marshall Soul with his mouth full.
I couldn't help it, man. I was trying to get it in for the break.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got them nuts up in there.
Can't help it, man. Cuddy brings this bag of nuts over here.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Got to get your zesty, I don't know. I can't remember what flavor that is. Got him. So we're over here. We're talking about this polycentric law. This is really essential to this is the answer against the problems that we have today. This monopoly of law, this monopoly really of law. I mean, that's what it is. It's
a monopoly of lawlessness.
Yeah. Which is creating the chaos.
I just fear the illusion of choice as well, though. Because when you're given a choice, the choice is only rightfully there for so long. So let's hear what else the author has to say about his stance on this.
So yeah, he finished up this last paragraph saying that it's very hard to have a choice when it comes to government, because really the only choices you have are to suck it up or hit the road, right? Move to Somalia or whatever.
Love it or leave it.
Don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more.
So he goes on to say that even if you decide to leave in search of a better legal system, you have no guarantee of finding one. Why? Because government, typically impose uniform rules across large geographic areas. Governments tend towards more and more monopolistic law than polycentric law. Can anybody say TPP and NAFTA and GATT and
every single one of the alphabetical, whatever you call those
so-called trade agreements?
Free trade, man. It's free trade.
Yeah, it's free trade. We need an agreement for free trade.
Why do you have to pass
That's a trick right there?
For free trade.
Exactly.
Why?
Oh no,
can't we freely
It'd be
trade?
chaos without the law, guys.
We need to legalize this and legalize that. Like, why wouldn't it? Why can't you just leave it alone?
Yeah.
Just like let it be.
Don't legislate on it.
Yeah.
Aren't you only supposed to act when harm is done?
That would be too negative now.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
Even so, accepting totalitarian regimes such as the former Soviet Union and present-day North Korea, most governments allow disgruntled residents the freedom to escape to better legal systems. Most also allow movement within their borders from one state, county, or town to another, affording the freedom to choose between local legal systems. To some degree, therefore, governments already compete against each other. To some degree, right? But the influence of polycentric law goes deeper than this.
Because a lot of those counties, municipalities have like a uniform kind of codes of ordinances.
Dude, it's harder for me to go to Mexico than it is for Mexicans to come to the United States. I mean, I got to have all these like papers and all this stuff and this like little government state what do you call that with the RFID chip in it?
The sticker.
Your passport?
No, yeah, I gotta get my passport and then like.
Well, yeah, you're talking about when you're coming back in, right? They're making sure. Yeah, I mean,
the state is going to state.
They're going to state, all right.
Pick and choose the winners and the losers.
So from plain old law to polycentric law, how are we going to have this conversion? To fully understand the extent of polycentric law, you have to understand the nature of law itself. Legal philosopher Lon Fuller aptly described it as, quote, the enterprise of subjecting human conduct to the governance of rules. And so described, the law is not just a service provided by public organizations. It also issues from private sources such as homeowners, associations, businesses, religions, clubs, and a myriad of other organizations, all of which subject their members' conduct to the governance of rules.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with it at all.
Exactly.
Simply pointing out what we were pointing out earlier about private property really being the stem or contractual free association being the offspring.
See, and that's what they get you is the freedom of association, but they don't necessarily let you know all the time how you're associating, how your association is binding you to certain regulations you might not be aware of.
Well, it should all be in the contract, and if it's not, then you should have a legal dispute.
Like HOAs are one of those peeves of mine.
Oh yeah, but it's your choice.
You have a choice whether or not you want to live in an HOA.
Exactly.
Heck, and without a central bank, HOAs wouldn't be as big as they are.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for all these investors getting the cut of all this inflated printed money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They would actually have to save up and buy up actual
huge chunks of property, and it would be a lot harder for them to be able to definitely, like you're saying, it'd be a lot smaller.
For sure. So consider a residential cooperative corporation, for instance, such as a co-ops. Members both possess shares of their residential corporation and lease their homes from it. In effect, they own their landlord. And like other landlords, a residential cooperative corporation subjects its tenants to the governance of rules. A residential co-op might specify quiet hours, for instance, and establish a committee to resolve complaints between the member tenants. That may not sound much like a conventional government until you realize that many residential co-ops rival cities in terms of their size and range of operations. The largest of them, Co-op City, New York, New York's Bronx borough, houses over 50,000 members.
Wow.
In addition to shelter, Co-op City provides an elected government, an electric chair for government officials.
They need that.
That's the Freudian slip right there, Rick.
As soon as I get in, please hit the switch.
Yeah. Lights on.
Yeah.
So in addition to shelter, the Co-op City provides an electric.
It's destined for them. It's destined for them. They just need that electric.
No moisture either. No moisture on that.
It's the elected government, parks, streets, security, and just about every other service you might expect from traditional municipality. Okay. There, I did it for you, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You performed the impossible.
And then he gave him the chair.
So HOAs here, you're just bringing that up, Marshall. Homeowners associations likewise often grow as large and as capable as cities themselves. The largest HOA in the United States, Highlands Ranch in Colorado, includes over 30,000 homes and 90,000 residents.
Wow.
In all respects, but its origins and legal status, it resembles a conventional municipality. Yeah, it does. Other private organizations also effectively duplicate cities on a small scale. Malls and hotels, for instance, provide their users with transportation networks, shelter from the elements, utilities, fire protection, security, and most pertinently, for present purposes, rules of conduct.
And I bet you they handle their violence and other issues a heck of a lot better than the TSA does at the airports. If the airports were to use private security forces, it'd be a lot more efficient, a lot less complaints because people might actually be held accountable for their actions in conducting themselves.
Well, it depends on how status the neighborhood is, right? Maybe if they're, a bunch of, socialists or a bunch of Nazis.
Well, yeah, the commission can decide whether or not it wants to have body scanners at the gate.
That's crazy, right? True.
Well, yeah, and really, when we talk about privatizing society, a lot of people get convoluted. When you have quasi-privatization, then yeah, you're bound to have fascism. When you have, the rich elite teaming up with government and being protected by government from any kind of liability or any kind of competition, then yeah, and when you have a central bank, I mean, you're going to just have monopolization.
As long as there is government, you're going to have that.
Yeah, exactly, and the wrong tendency. So, really, when we mean privatize everything, we mean literally privatize everything.
Yeah, like no government,
no special immunities. The title, no titles of nobility, no honor, no honors given.
A lot of people perceive that the people with the most amount of money are just going to take over, like they haven't already.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I would have to concur. I believe they already have.
Yeah. And they've used government to do it, and the only way they could have done it
is
just government.
Patent laws, subsidies.
They just be using government to consolidate their monopoly.
Oh yeah, no doubt, for sure. So if only we had more government, then we can get rid of the monopolies. I'm sure.
The regulations have never worked out for the little guy.
No, they haven't.
No, it's just a big old lobby, a lobby for the big wigs to smoosh the little guys.
So you commies and you socialists, you got it backwards.
Yeah, right.
Eating your feces.
Oh, that snake eating its own tail, right?
Yeah.
But the tail tastes good, man.
It tastes so good, Rick. Come down here.
Just put it on the fire.
Just
for a
close your
minute.
eyes.
Just close your eyes, pretend it's chocolate pudding.
Put it in the fire for a minute.
So yeah, I mean, this is an interesting point here that malls and hotels and other venues of this sort provide their own services and their own rules of conduct. You got smoking facilities, non-smoking. You got
Tuck your shirt in, don't tuck your shirt in. Yeah.
Walk backward zones.
Yeah. Can't look like that.
you got unisex bathrooms and male female bathrooms. And,
oh, dude. Come on, man, get with the times.
So the scale and scope of residential co-ops, HOAs, malls, and hotels make it easy to see how the private sector can rival the public one in providing governing services. Polycentric law is not solely the province of huge private communities, however. Under Fuller's definition, even a small organization that regulates only a narrow range of behavior, a church, for example, that imposes a strict dietary rules on its members, for instance, also qualifies as a source of law. Size and breadth matter less than whether the organization subjects human conduct to the governance of rules. So true. I mean, you got religious institutions that can't eat bacon if you're a Jew or if you're an Adventist or.
But having laws and having rules is not necessarily having a government. People see that as
usually
your choice whether you want to join that organization or not.
And
right?
so therefore it ceases to be government because it's not forcing your actions, controlling your actions,
or forcing the will upon you.
Yeah, governing your actions.
So definitely encourage you guys to look up polycentric law. Definitely Google it, YouTube it, check out the videos on that. There's a lot of great animated videos on it, and we'll be back next week breaking this down even further. So definitely stay tuned. We're live every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. This was Truth Exposed Radio.
Here on the Logos Radio Network. Peace, love, anarchy.